This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Running Recon, a photo history of SOG Special Ops along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. He had left the SOG compound near Kon Tum called Command and Control Center about a month before I got there in April 1969. In looking for additional photographs for my own book, I was put in touch with Joe by a SOG memorabilia collector, and he generously allowed me the use of his photographs in my book. In speaking with Joe about our experiences in Vietnam, I was struck by the breadth of his experience and his ability to tell stories that provided real background and texture to his experiences, a vivid picture of what those experiences were like. He has an authentic voice, and he adds much to the life and corroboration of a unit that has, because of the secretive nature of its work, very little official documentation. Thus, I am greatly pleased that Joe has taken the time to put down all his experiences in this book, for they are an important contribution to the history of SOG. At the same time, they sustain the myth of SOG exploits, the unique nature of its activities, and the extraordinary character of many of the men who serve there. Joe speaks with a certain candor that may make some people uncomfortable. He doesn't clean it up to make it more acceptable. He tells it as he remembers it. Joe's stories also remind me of something that I didn't pay a lot of attention to at the time, namely, the enormous responsibility and burden that a medic carries. He has to not only keep himself alive and functioning, but at the same time he has to take care of the wounded and suffering. When everyone else takes a break to rest or eat, he treats the wounded. When engaged in a firefight with the enemy, he doesn't stay down. He gets up and treats the wounded. When settling down at night, when others are resting or sleeping, he treats the wounded. And sometimes, after having returned to the FOB, he has the final duty, the privilege, of preparing the bodies of our dead for return to their families back home in the United States. These stories are not only a testimony to Joe's efforts, but also are part of the universal story of all medics who have served our troops, indeed all troops, throughout history. And to this day, Special Forces medics continue to carry out that tradition in all corners of the world. One of the problems of war stories is that they're often difficult to corroborate, or have some aspect that make them seem suspect, or at least exaggerated, and I wanted to be as truthful and accurate as I could be when doing my book. Joe's recall is detailed and accurate, and it is also important to him that it be right. What I could check always corroborated with what he had to say, in fact, if not in perspective. In Joe, and in this book, those two linchpins of relevant war stories, memory and perspective, are well met. This doesn't mean that everyone who was there will agree with him. It means that he has the right to tell his experiences. Joe was patiently aided in these efforts to get his stories in print by the abilities of wordsmith Bob Dumont. It is a difficult job to get the words to flow smoothly while at the same time maintaining the authenticity of the speaker's voice, and Bob has done that well. Simply put, good teamwork has produced this excellent book. If you would know about the Vietnam War, about SOG, about being a Special Forces medic, or just about war and warriors, listen to this book. Along the way, you will meet Joe Parnar and a number of his fellow SOG members who define what it took to be extraordinary men in challenging circumstances. Frank Greco. Introduction. My reasons for enlisting in the U.S. Army. April 1966. The team split up where the trail divided into several paths.